Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the third seeding video of 2023. The first one we did was some cool season vegetables, lettuce, broccoli, several things. Those things are about to go into the garden right now. I'm shooting this on March, right at the very beginning of March. And so our cool season vegetables are about to go in the ground. Last Monday, so as you're watching this video, something like 12 days ago or so, we started seed for some of the flowers and vegetables that take the longest. Our average last frost date is around the middle of April, and some of the seeds take as much as 8 weeks from putting the seed into a tray, putting it under our light inside, our grow lights inside, and being a transplantable size takes about 8 weeks. And so those things went in a video, again, about a week and a half ago as you're watching this. Now, at the beginning of March, we're about 6 weeks from our average last frost date. So the things that we're putting in this week are the things that take about 6 weeks. And you can find that on the back of any packet of seed. It'll tell you, from seed to transplantable size, how long that takes. And we just back that up from our average last frost date. So today is definitely tomato day. Tomatoes take about 6 weeks to be up and about a perfect transplantable size. They'll fill this cell. These are 50 cell trays. I've shown them many times on the channel, and there's a solid tray underneath, so we don't end up with water on our electrical devices inside. And any kind of soil germination mix you want to use, seed starter mix or compost, anything. But we're definitely using a material that will wick water upward, because we can water from underneath and let the water soak up from the bottom up. But it's, again, 6 weeks, things that take 6 weeks. And so some of those for us are perennial things. We've got some agastache that we're doing from seed. We've got some several salvia, some of which will be perennial, some of which will not be perennial. Griffin has decided to go on his way, and Holly's right down here. I think you can see her laying down there. We've got a toothache plant. This is Spilanthes. This is a really easy, either from buying them from plants or from starting from seed. Just a little bright pop of yellow color out in the garden. Pollinators really love those. We're doing some black-eyed Susan vine. And again, the back of every one of these packages says, it takes about 6 weeks to get them from seed. We have some things that are 4 week as well. So we'll have one more time seeding, and that'll be toward the middle of March, which is, again, about 4 weeks from my average last frost date. That includes zinnias, which are fast. If I was going to start sunflowers from seed and not do those directly in the ground, those would be in the 4 week group. So anything that takes a really short window to come up and be transplantable. If I was going to do cucumber, squash, zucchini, we typically do directly in the garden, but those are 4 week things. There's a lot of quick turnaround things as well. There's some nasturtiums, again, about 6 weeks, perfect transplanting size. We put these in containers typically, and they perform quite well. But the main star of the show for us, definitely for this round of seeding, is our tomatoes. We do Bronze Torch, and for those of you who haven't seen this tomato or had this tomato, I think it's currently, it's been our favorite for the last 3 years. It's just a really fantastic tomato. It's a small tomato, so it's much larger than a cherry, but it's definitely much smaller than a slicing tomato, somewhere in between the two. It has the perfect texture where it's kind of sliceable. It's not mushy. It's really kind of sliceable, but it is quite juicy inside. Great tomato. Highly recommend Bronze Torch. We always get our seed every year before we recommend it. These are not the least pricey seeds. There's only 10 seeds in one of these hybrid tomatoes. And then we've got some yellow pears. We've got one called Braveheart. We've got Park's Whopper, which has been around forever. That'll be our slicer. That we usually do one slicer, and the rest of what we do are mostly cherries and tomatoes that are slightly larger than cherries. And then we're doing a Gumdrop Black hybrid that's almost like a decorative tomato, honestly. And then one called Black Strawberry that we got from Baker Creek. Our seeds are this time almost all Baker Creek and Park, but we'll buy seed from literally anywhere. So, we're trying not to overdo anymore. It's really easy when you have a pack of seed that has 100 seeds in the packet to go out and do 2 trays of them, and then you have no idea what to do with them other than give them away. So we've really tried to get this down to a science. Everything that we're starting, we kind of know where it's going to go in the garden ultimately and how many plants we'd like to have. We'll do a few extra because, sometimes, things don't come up. Sometimes they're weak seedlings for whatever reason. And so we'll do a few more than we need, but we're not, it's really easy for us to do 10 extra trays, and then we end up either throwing them away or giving them to neighbors or whatever. But it's we're trying to know where they're going beforehand. And so the way our seeds were originally organized this year going into the season was look on the back of the packet, find out how long it takes from the time you put the seed in the tray to the time it goes in. That's the transplantable time. Again, my tomatoes went in the 6-week pile. And then on the front, Steph went through and put how many seeds we were actually going to do from this packet. And so, because we just this is a very small lot here in Raleigh. It's 0.19 acres. We don't have a tremendous amount of space. And so we know exactly how many seeds we're going to do. And then we've got the labels already made, and a lot of discussion, always on the channel about all the different kinds of things you can use to tag. But from the time the seed goes in the tray, we're putting a tag in the tray, and this tag will follow it into the garden, whether it be flower, whether it's vegetable, whatever it is. And you can use all kinds of sturdy plastic things to make these tags out of, and you can reuse them as well. You can clean them off with alcohol, or even just scratch off. A lot of times the permanent, what looks like permanent ink, can just be scratched off these plastic tags. But a lot of different ways to tag them. So that's it. That's where we are. We're doing all the 6-week things right now, and you'll see a video this next week with our cool season vegetables. We're going to put down a layer of compost out there. Cool season vegetables will go in. We will come back. Our summer vegetables will get planted around April 15th. We leave enough room out here in the cool season vegetables that we can just plug our summer vegetables right into it. So lettuce, the tomato plants will get planted right between lettuce plants, and hopefully those tomatoes will jump up pretty quickly and actually maybe offer a little shade to some of our cool season things and extend that season into June a bit. That's optimistic thinking. If it jumps to 90, those things are just going to be finished regardless. But if it stays cool for a while, we can use our summer vegetables to cool off our cool season vegetables. But that's where we are right now. That's our update. Lots and lots of seed available out there. I highly encourage you to, there's lots of different ways to start seed. At this point, it's so warm outside that you can start thinking about, putting them in trays and leaving them outside and just bringing them in when it's cool, just putting them in enough sun, enough bright light to get them to germinate. We, again, use the light rack inside. There's a video on the channel for how I built the light rack. It's 6 years old now, and so it has germinated a ton of seed at this point, and it really has paid for itself. These rigid trays that we have been reused multiple times at this point, so we're not having to reinvest any additional money other than some sort of soil mix that goes into the trays. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for following along. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because again, you'll see 2 rounds of vegetables being planted, another round of flowers, mostly flowers, going in right at the 4-week spot, and an entire video dedicated to zinnias coming up. So thanks for watching.